O'Reilly. Are your wiper blades chattering, skipping, or squeaking? Don't let streaks or smearing on your windshield compromise your visibility. When it's time to replace your wiper blades, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and see our selection. Our professional parts people will even install your new wiper blades while you wait. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today. You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins.
Oh, hey, everybody. Another episode of the Daily Quarantine Cast. We're here. We're actually not together. We're apart. It's sad. But we're soldiering on. I got Phil the engineer here with me. Say hey, Phil.
Hello.
You're going to hear a lot of things in today's episode. Thanks for checking in for day number 2 of the Daily Quarantine Cast. We got Mark Kenyon to talk about soil health on the back 40, our plans for the back 40 for 2020, what we're going to do with the show now that we can't actually go to the property, and the coronavirus has kind of screwed us on that. We talk about that with Mark. We talk about vasectomies. We talk about whether Phil wants to get one or not. My opinion.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It's a big deal. And we're also going to get to, most importantly, win a podcast contest from episode 100. That's going to be a big deal. You're going to hear that today as well. The THC Daily Quarantine Cast rolls on right now. Enjoy. Hey, everybody. Ben O'Brien. I'm talking episode 2 of the Daily THC podcast is what you're listening to, and it's going to be awkward for me for a while because I am in my child's nursery, and I have on the computer with me Mark Kenyon. Say hi, Mark Kenyon.
Hi, Mark Kenyon.
And Phil the engineer.
I am also here.
We can see each other via camera devices attached to our computers, and we're speaking into separate microphones, but we're in 3 different rooms. Is that correct, boys?
True. Uh-huh.
So this is going to be super awkward, probably not a great podcast, but we have to do it because I already told you guys we were going to do a daily podcast. And so here we are. So Mark Kenyon has actually been, I found out earlier today, living under quarantine for the last 6 years.
Yeah, this is no big deal for me, man. I'm used to it.
As a freelance outdoor podcaster, media guy, writer, you basically just live in your house and leave it only to get food and probably water.
Yeah, hunt, shop, and that's about it. I've been living the safe lifestyle for a long time. Since the fall of 2013, I've been working at home. And my wife started working at home in 2014. So we're experts at this whole lifestyle, you could say.
Oh, that's good. I'm happy. Could you just give a few people, because just so you know, yesterday we recorded episode 1 of the THC Daily Podcast, Quarantine Cast, I've been calling it. You like that name, Phil?
Yeah, it's super creative.
Quarantine Cast. Mm-hmm. It's a combination of the word podcast and quarantine.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a better option, like Castantine, but that's not good.
No, that's terrible.
Okay.
So we're going to go with that.
It's good self-awareness, Phil.
He's got to have it around me. He can't not have it. So we're going to do a bunch of things. But yesterday I was in the actual Meat Eater studio in the Meat Eater offices, and they kicked us out. So now we can't go in. We're quarantined from going into the office. So now we're on some fancy pants computer thing called Squadcast. They're not a sponsor, but we shut them out anyway because it's amazing that we have this technology, right, Mark Kenyon?
It's tremendous. It really is.
Tremendous.
But I got to tell you, I've been, back what we were just talking about a second ago, I've been doing these virtual podcasts for 339 episodes so far, and they're not that awkward. So you'll do fine. You'll get through it.
I don't know what to do with social cues. I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't have any pants.
Yeah,
pants on.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. The question is, do you have pants? Because I went through a huge paradigm shift when I went from pantsless podcasts to with pants podcasts.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where to put the microphone. I don't know whether to wear pants and then maybe eventually underwear. It's gonna be a challenge. I'm concerned both for the quality of the show and then just my own mental state. Do you have any tips? Can you just go through the tips and tricks that somebody might use to get through this time, since you've been basically living this exact experience for better part of 6 years?
Yeah, in all seriousness, probably the biggest thing that I did that helped my just effectiveness from a work from home standpoint was when I shifted from approaching it as like a novelty thing to then approaching like, oh no, you're still working. So when I first started doing this, I was like, well, I'll just wake up whenever I wake up and I'll work when I want. Hey, if I want to take a 2-hour lunch break and watch Game of Thrones, all right, I'll do that. So that was back in 2013 when I first went full time on my own. That doesn't work real well. So what I started doing is pretending like I still have to go into an office and do all those things. So I have like a morning routine. I get up early at the time I want to wake up. I do a workout. I shower. I eat breakfast. I put on real person clothes. Just putting on real clothes makes a huge difference. Pajama working from home is at least 10 to 20% less productive than regular clothing work from home. So do that. That's helped me a lot. And then, schedule it as if you really, you can take some flexibility, but schedule your day still as if you were in an office. That helps me. I have a calendar. I have it locked down. My wife knows that when it's regular working hours, I'm going to be doing stuff. At least putting those structures in place, I think, helps you avoid the many temptations, right? There's temptations when you're working from home that you just wouldn't otherwise have. But I will also tell you that working from home, I feel like I have a lot less distractions compared to some offices too. Like when I come into the Meat Eater office, I always wonder, like, how do you guys get anything done? Because you're constantly talking and stuff. I just sit in my office all by myself all day, and I'm pretty darn good, I guess, when I don't have anyone to chat with. So that is the plus.
You've definitely been living the quarantine life. You're like, how do you get things done when you've been talking and interacting with other actual humans that have different life experiences than you? What a weird experience.
Very weird.
All right, well, thanks for that.
It's not too bad.
So you told me you're going to, on your social media, you're going to share some tricks and tips for being alone.
Yeah.
Because you're an expert on being alone.
Yes, that is. My wife and I are hermits by nature, so this fits right into our whole grand plan.
Good. All right. Well, before we get going, Phil, can you give us just your feelings about the quarantine and what are your emotions? People are going to be looking to you, Phil T. Engineer, to really lead them emotionally, mentally, maybe even physically eventually.
Well, that's just poor decision making.
Well, it's not their fault. You have reached into their hearts and minds and captivated them. So could you please just kind of give everybody a pep talk?
Yeah, well, I just want to say that, I love my children. Let me just start off by saying that. Beautiful.
Novel.
Loving, changed my life in so many positive ways. I've just been kind of imagining this quarantine, though, if I didn't have children. And all the TV I'd be watching, all the movies and games I'd be playing. Quarantining with children is a completely different experience. My kid, the governor, Steve Bullock of Montana, just canceled school for 2 weeks.
Oh.
I feel like it's only a matter of time before my younger's daycare gets canceled as well. So, you know, when you're hunkered down with your family for multiple days, it's an experience. It definitely shows you what you're made out of. I'll check back within these daily podcasts to let you know how I'm doing, how I'm holding up, and I'm sure you guys will too.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, I like to joke. It's hard for me to be serious sometimes, but this is a weird time. We went into the office to gather our things for the last time for a while, and then I took my family out to eat to breakfast, and it was awkward. People didn't want to be near each other. People didn't people were looking or had. It's almost like they had a measuring tape for 6 feet, you know, social distancing being what it is. And so it after all this is over, I imagine that we will look at our daily lives, the things in our lives that probably we took for granted, right? Sitting in traffic or going to work and being annoyed by the guy that's sitting next to you, or things Mark Kenyon has no idea about.
Yeah, none of this is ringing a bell.
Go stand in line for coffee without having to worry about who's around you or how close to you they are. All those little things. I hope that we can go through this time, do what we got to do to get around and above this pandemic, and then go back to real normal life. But then be able to look back at this and say, man, I appreciate the little things, going to the grocery store and feeling calm or you know, anything. Folks in New York City can't even go out to a restaurant or a bar at this point.
Ours closed today 15 minutes ago for the rest of however long.
Yeah.
Here in Michigan.
Yeah. So it's we're all going to be okay. As somebody told me earlier today via text, you know, we're being called on to sit on our couches, and we can all do that. But there's also people that work hourly. There's people that have jobs that have international distribution channels. There's so many things that this affects, and you know, my heart goes out to everybody that whose lives this is either made very, very hard or completely destroyed or thrown out there for however long this lasts. So hopefully you can come out to THC on a daily basis and get some good hunting stories and some randomness and escape from it just for a little bit. And that's all we can really offer at this point. And if I got to do it from my kid's nursery, which is where I'm at right now, that's what I'll do. Anything.
Yeah, I think that perspective is super important. That like we're all lucky enough to be able to do this. When just like you said, there's so many service industry workers and that you know, are either going to lose their jobs or just have an incredible amount of uncertainty over the next few months. And I can't even imagine what that's like. So, you know, So I just appreciate everyone who's still out there grinding and making a living and just trying their best.
So we're going to do some crazy things this week and next week for you. One of them, I've decided, Mark, I want to get your opinion on this. I've decided to do a contest because folks that know lately, I've really got addicted to contests. I might need help.
Are you addicted to trying to get people to partake in your contests? Right, I think that's what you're doing. But are you also participating in other people's contests?
No, just my contests. But I'm addicted to. I'm addicted to giving things away. I could. I'm addicted to giving things away. I just want to give everything I see. I'm like, I'll give it away. I give it away to everybody. I don't care. I'm addicted to it. It feels so good. Okay. But we have to go over the last giveaway from our episode 100. I wanted to do it in a different way than what we're doing now, but for episode 100, we did 4 giveaways. This is our last one we have to announce. But before that, I have an idea, Mark, and I want to see, you have a child, you like to hunt turkeys. Yep. I want to see your thoughts, whether this is a good idea. I thought that we would do a hand-drawn, if you look at the screen there, Mark, hand-drawn turkey contest. You know how you draw a turkey with your hand, trace your hand?
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah, I thought we would have everybody do one, and then however you make it whatever the background is, you decorate the turkey, give it a personality, give it a name, draw the background. So anybody can participate in this. Children, adults, young children. It doesn't matter. You got a hand and a pencil, you're good to go. And then we'll get as many people to draw that. And the most creative one wins some awesome prize. You feel like that's a good idea? I
like it. I've got a friend who's missing one of his fingers, though. So will he be penalized in any kind of way if he draws like a gimpy, fanless turkey or anything like that?
No, let me tell you one. Here's a story that'll help that out. When I was a kid, I was in like the 3rd grade. We had a contest to draw a constellation of our own, right? They give you a piece of paper with a bunch of dots on it that are supposed to be stars. And my dad got a hold of that, and then you had to write a story about what that constellation meant. So I got hold of this constellation. I started drawing a beaver on this constellation. It had a tail, the whole beaver body, but I didn't have enough stars to draw 4 legs on the beaver. I could only draw 1 leg with the amount of stars that I had. So my dad and I wrote a story called Uno, the One-Legged Beaver, to go along with this constellation. The story was that the Uno, the beaver, was swimming out in a lake, and it got really cold. A blizzard came in, it got really cold. 3 of his legs were frozen in the ice, and he had to chew off those 3 legs to survive and then swim back to shore with just the 1 leg. So unbelievable tale. So for your buddy, that turkey can have as many feathers as he has fingers.
It's all about how you make what you can from the circumstances you're given. So
I'm putting that out there. We'll talk more about that contest coming up.
What do you win?
I'm going to figure something out really cool. Hopefully some First Light gear. I was thinking, I haven't talked to First Light about this, so they're going to be probably mad at me, but hey, it's quarantine time.
What's new?
What's new? We take a First Light jacket, a First Light puffy jacket, or whatever. Say a Brooks Down or any kind of un compadre, any kind of jacket that you would normally wear, and on the back, you know how say like Sly Stallone in the first Rocky movie, he had those like Italian leather jackets with a big tiger on the back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking we would take the turkey drawing and have it screen printed on the back really big, like that tiger.
No better way to increase value of a really nice Brooks jacket than screen printed turkey on the back, huh?
I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
Who wouldn't want that?
Who wouldn't want that? I don't know why. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. That's how I feel. So I just want an audience of 1 here, where you tell me what you think about this idea.
Yeah, I give you 2 thumbs up. I'm a big fan. My son will submit a turkey drawing.
Ooh, all right. I like it. All right.
And if I win, damn it, I want the screen printed turkey on my jacket.
Like I said, I have no way of knowing where the First Light.
No, now you're in it. Now you've committed. There's a verbal contract out there.
So anyway, check back later to see if I still have a job, and maybe you'll get a turkey jacket. There's no way to know. And
that would be a great jacket.
Rest in peace to Uno, the One-Legged Beaver. You fought hard, buddy. You fought hard. So, Phil, you still there, Phil?
Yeah, I'm here.
Phil, we gotta go over. Mark probably doesn't even know this because he's too busy to listen to THC on a weekly basis.
How do I get a fill, by the way? It's amazing that you get a fill. And I don't have anyone, Ben, to help with my podcast.
I kind of just took Phil. Like, nobody gave him to me. I've just, over time, done things to kind of lay claim to him. Also been very nice to him to keep him around.
Is that true, Phil?
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
There was some hesitation in there, Ben.
You sound like my wife. It's our anniversary today, actually.
It could have been better.
Congrats.
It's our 6th wedding anniversary for my wife today. So love you, girl. I know you don't listen to my podcast either, but love you anyway. It's okay. So before we get to our hunting story, we got to talk about the Win a Podcast giveaway from episode 100. Now, Mark, what we did was we had 4 different giveaways to celebrate our 100th episode so we could have fun with our listeners. And this idea was to give away my old podcast gear, my Zoom recorder, all my Audio-Technica headsets, all the things you need to have your own portable podcast kit, as well as have me as your first guest on your new podcast, and have Phil and I give you a consultation on how to get started. Programs you need, all that things. So a way for someone to have a leg up, as it were, to start their own podcast. Still got to do the work, but we were willing to help them out. And all we asked was that they write 100 words to thc@themeateater.com. And they told us what the podcast was and why they would want to do it. And we got hundreds of submissions, I think upwards of 400 submissions of what podcast people wanted to do. So I was happy with that. Joe Farinato, who is also quarantined at his home right now, and I sat last Friday and read almost every single one of them, and we came down to a top 3. And so we're going to have, and Mark, I'd like to get your vote on these when I read them, but I'm going to read the top 3 right now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on at BennyOB301, my Instagram account, and I'm going to put a poll up for people to vote on the best podcast idea. So you guys got to listen up. Does that all make sense, Mark?
Makes sense. Sounds cool.
So I'm going to read the 3 here to you, and I want to get your reaction and Phil's reaction to each one of them.
All right.
And then we're going to go. You guys good with that? Yes. Yes, you're good with it. I knew you would be. All right, for the first one, the first finalist. Phil, will you be able to put drum rolls in here?
Of course.
Yeah, put a drum roll right now.
All right, here we go. 1 out of 8 drum rolls that are gonna be in this episode.
Mark doesn't know when I ask for a drum roll, then I keep talking, and I need another drum roll, and then I keep talking, and I need another drum roll. I'm not good with executing the drum roll finality.
Yeah,
Anyway, Ian Russell Camara and Ryan Russell wrote in with this one. We're the Russell brothers, and our proposed podcast, The Whole Animal, focuses on new and interesting ways to harvest resources from game animals that most people simply throw away. With the help of guest chefs, hunters, and artists, each season focuses on a single animal, and each episode explores novel ways to engage with a part of that animal that hunters typically discard. From utilitarian to downright silly, The Whole Animal podcast is a show like no other. Learn how to make deer spine putters, turkey feet poker chips, and duck blood soup at a podcast coming to your feed soon. The Whole Animal podcast by the Russell Bros. Phil, what do you think about that one?
That one is a great idea. Just coming from a non-hunter's perspective, though, I'm wondering what you guys think about the longevity of something like that. Like how deep could they go? How many animals could they cover? How many parts could they dive into?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you could do every game animal you can think of. You can do. I mean, I'd like to hear a dove, or I'd like to hear obviously a wild turkey. But there's a million things. I like the way they broke it down. Like you have a season, and then you have an animal. You take an animal and you break it into episodes, break it into parts. It kind of has a nice little ring to it that way. Mark?
It's a very cool idea. I do wonder if like the novelty of it would wear off at some point. And this is me being overly critical. So
Please.
Overly critical saying that. But at first off, great idea. Cool idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder if, I don't know, it would be a little bit hard to execute on making every one of those fascinating. Could I listen to number 8 of how to use a duck, and we're getting down to like using a duck foot for a bookmark or something? I don't know if I might tire of that at some point, but maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's why we're here. I think that's one of the best ideas we got, because I think if done correctly, it could have a lot of longevity. And if you did seasons, if you just kind of did one every once in a while, and it could be an encyclopedia of knowledge for each animal too, which I think makes it evergreen, which makes it great.
I like it.
I like it. Number 2, we will all vote on this. It's not going to mean anything, but it'll at least give people what we think. Number 2, this comes from Liz Krieger. She says, picture this, a member of the hunting community that is often misunderstood and misrepresented. Someone passionate about the hunting community, conservation, and family. Navigating how to juggle home life, competitive work environment, and fulfilling this insatiable need to pursue their own food and pull their own weight out of doors. My name is Liz Krieger. I live in North Central PA. I am a mother, wife, wildlife biologist, hunter, and conservationist who is trying to keep a sense of humor while navigating a changing conservation climate. I'm interested in discussing habitat management, hunting strategies, and home life from the lens of a female millennial. That's Liz Krieger. What do you think about that, Mark Kenyon?
Or straight off the bat, we don't need another millennial out there ruining the world. So you and me. No, I was kidding.
I know. Phil, I just found out.
Right?
I found out the other day Phil's only 29 years old. Is that right, Phil?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't know that you did not know that.
So you're still a millennial, right?
I assumed you were in your 40s. I've seen so many people illustrate your face that there's no concept of how old you are anymore.
Well, that's good to know that you've seen so many illustrations of me that you have complete face blindness over my real face.
Yeah, I picture just that illustration of that dude, the Office
sipping
Space
the coffee.
Dude. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what I see.
He does seem more mature than us, Ben.
That's true. Yeah. His children seem well behaved. That's for sure. Mine is a wild man. All right, so that's number 2. That's 1 and 2.
Yeah. Other than the whole millennial thing, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that could be a podcast that could be very, very important to a small group of hunters.
That's true. All right.
I think it's a great perspective to share.
Well done, Liz. This one is from Trey. I'm going to say his last name is pronounced Picou because it's Picou. Phil, Picou?
Yeah, that's close enough.
Picou? Probably Picou. We'll go with Picou. Picou. All right, Picou. He's a PhD. Trey Picou's a PhD research scientist. He says this. He says a lot of things, but this is his pitch. I would like to do a podcast about the science of hunting / the science of hunting related topics. I will interview physicists, biologists, chemists, and whatever other aspects are necessary for the listener to understand the hardcore science about the topic at hand. What do I mean by this? An example of a topic I'd like to explore is camouflage. This will probably be a multi-episode series. It will start out with the science behind sight, such as it works, the physics and biology, and how it evolved, prey and predator. Then it would progress to what wavelengths and patterns game species and predators see, how camouflage works in the natural world, and how it can be applied for the hunter. Lastly, I would talk to leaders in the hunting and military camouflage industry to see how they apply, and if they apply, real science when designing their patterns. Basically, the scientist in me wants to dive deep into the science behind all sorts of hunting-related concepts that people usually just gloss over, hand wave away, or try to explain using catching-sounding buzzwords, which I do a lot. Me, Ben O'Brien. Anyway, that's my pitch. I hope you enjoy. Trey Picou. So, Phil, the engineer, what do you think, buddy?
I like that one a lot, coming more from a non-hunter's point of view. I think that one has like the first one I'm not sure about. I think this one sounds like it could last for as long as they wanted it to and cover an infinite amount of topics. I think this is a great one.
Mark Kenyon?
I'm going to have to second that. This one's my favorite. I like, I'm personally fascinated with looking at things from a scientific lens, through a scientific lens. And this would, like Phil said, there's longevity here. It's a unique angle, but not too much of a shtick or too gimmicky. I like it.
I like it. I do like it too. I like all three of these. I would say after, it's cool, Mark. I don't know if you've ever kind of delved into anything like this, but, for the amount of people that listen to some of our shows, to sit down and read hundreds of people kind of pitching why they want to be a podcaster or why they want to do something, you get to learn a little bit about everyone, what they want to hear, what they want to say, kind of what their dreams are, what they've been thinking about stewing on, what they think they might be able to do. And I felt like I learned a lot about our community, the people that listen to this show, and I'm sure the people that listen to your show and the Meat Eater podcast and Remy Warren's show and Steve's show, like all that stuff. So I felt like I learned a lot about everyone. To that end, I would say about a third of the people that wrote in wanted to do a podcast from the perspective of a non-hunter, or from a new hunter, let's say, like adult onset type of approach. And so I learned that, old Phil, the engineer here, however we can get him out in the woods in the next little bit of time, it's going to be a good thing for everybody. Not only will I be able to mess with Phil out in the out of doors, but people would get to hear what he goes through, from trying to find a hunter safety course to taking one, to going out and hunting, to getting your license, to learn about firearms and archery tackle, and then just all the other conundrums that come up. So that was one thing I learned. The other thing I learned is, like, if you really want to have a podcast out there, go and do it. Like, the worst thing is not trying. If you fail, you fail.
Oh yeah, man. And I started my podcast with less than $100 of equipment. And I essentially am still using, I've bought stuff and upgraded it and then went back to my original setup. I am using an $80 microphone on my computer to do a podcast that's, I mean, as you know, it reaches a lot of people for no money. I mean, it's you do not feel like money or something special about you is keeping you from being able to do a podcast. Anyone can do it. Come to it with a good idea and some stick-to-itiveness, and do the kind of things like you're doing, Ben, connecting and engaging with an audience, and you can really do some cool stuff with it.
Yeah, and what a great time, as it turns out, what a great time to start a podcast. I feel like the coronavirus is going to be a time where a lot of babies are conceived. Just saying, guys.
Be
just
careful.
saying, watch out, Phil.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there, because they're great and they're super friendly, and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth.
Watch out.
Have you guys ever talked about vasectomies on this podcast?
No, we probably should.
That's something that is a very hot topic in my household.
Yeah, it is right now too. I'm being pressured.
I'm the one doing the pressuring around here. I'm like, let's cut that thing off. Like,
Me too.
My wife's like,
I'm
scared.
I'm squeamish.
Oh,
I don't want more kids, but I also just do not like the idea of, surgery.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to tell the doctor, don't put me under. If there's anything that you can actually make me feel the pain even more, I want that drug.
That's Phil for you. Phil is a masochist. Cut me open, Doc.
Speechless, Phil.
You're going to be a good backcountry hunter, man. Like, I'm proud of you.
Can't wait.
No, I'm not. I don't want to do it, but my wife wants a third child, and which I can't in the throes of a brand new child.
I can't even fathom it.
I can't. I don't.
I refuse to even to entertain the idea.
Yeah, the popular saying being like, oh, it goes from man-to-man defense to zone defense. That's absolutely true. Man-to-man defense is a big time advantage for the defense.
And it's still hard though.
Yeah, it's very hard. And so, anyway, I'm getting nervous, and already got anxiety about the coronavirus. I don't want to talk about this anymore, Mark, you bastard, for bringing it up.
Hey, actually, though, this is a great podcast idea. We all three of us get vasectomies at the same time.
No, that would be a show.
that would be a show. Like we call it the ice pack hour with Ben, Mark, and Phil.
You know what's funny is that the most popular time of year to get a vasectomy is right now. Because supposedly most people, they time it for March Madness. And this year, can you imagine how shitty it must be to be the guys that schedule their vasectomies right now? And then March Madness gets canceled?
They're like, oh my God, I got to watch Netflix? Oh,
what do we do?
Oh no. Yeah, no, I'm scared of that. Anyway, we gotta pick. Mark, of those 3 podcast ideas, what is your favorite and what would you pick if you were voting?
I think they're great, all 3, but I vote for the science podcast.
Okay. That's Trey Picou.
Picou
takes the lead.
Picou.
Philip?
I second that motion.
Picou takes the lead. It's hard for me to say. I want to say the whole animal because I have this idea that would be fantastic. And I imagine like 2 brothers going at it, if they have the expertise, would be a good thing. So I'm going to go with the whole animal podcast for my vote. I want to think these brothers can really get it done.
Do you have any worries, Ben, that whoever gets your podcasting equipment with this idea launches a show and it's so wildly successful that it supplants you in the Mediator Podcast Network? And Phil goes and works for the whole animal instead of working for THC.
Yeah. I that's why I'm picking. I'm not picking my favorite because I'd like to keep job security. No, I am totally secure with THC. Okay, Mark.
Okay.
I'm totally secure. So thank you everyone for writing in. Good luck to Trey, Liz, and Ian and Ryan.
I just want to say, like Mark kind of brought this up earlier, if you don't win this, and even to the hundreds of people who wrote in and didn't make it to the top 3, it has never been cheaper to do something like this. Never been easier. There's never been more resources online to get you started. So if you have an idea and you think that you want to, you've got some free time and you're passionate about it, just do it.
But yeah, that's true. Go out and do it, man. That's why podcasting is so beautiful. That like people, it's really a democratic medium, man. You can hop on to iTunes for free and listen for free. You can have a podcast that costs nothing but an account, a servicing account like Libsyn, and a microphone, a computer, and some buddies that have something interesting to say. So go do it, man. Use this as a good time to plan it and go and do it, man. You're probably sitting around your house. This is a good time to get out there and podcast. Maybe make a baby while you're at it. Whatever you want to do. It's up to you. But don't do them at the same time. That's what I would say.
That would be a podcast.
Yeah, if you do, just make sure you put that not safe for work sticker, that explicit sticker on your show.
Yeah, make sure the microphone has a windscreen because you're going to want a lot of... What, man?
More like a windsock.
Yeah, something like that. So good luck to Trey, to Liz, to Ian, and Ryan. You guys are welcome to go out and campaign for yourselves on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, whatever. Get people to vote for you. Just send them to @BennyOB301 on Instagram. Go to my Instagram story, and there will be the place to vote. And while you're there, give me a follow and send me a real nice comment. Make me feel good about myself because that's what this is all about. Anyway, and that's it. That's all of the giveaways. That lasted quite a long time, Phil.
There's your podcast.
We did these 4 giveaways for episode 100. And I didn't realize it would take months to like sort them out and get them all delivered. And I just didn't realize, but I'm happy it did because it was really fun. I had a good time. Phil, did you have a good time?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've said it 100 times, but I'm still confused by the response and flattered. And I think, Ben, you should be flattered more than anyone. Obviously, you've got a very passionate audience.
Yeah, we had poems, we had illustrations, we had. What else do we have? Everything. We had turkey calls. just videos. People were framing pictures of my dead hamster squeakers. People were having family game nights to draw Phil. It was unbelievable.
So there's this, and this could totally hijack where you want to go with this. So feel free to postpone your answer for some other time. But oftentimes in business or podcasting or whatever, you often are, an idea is to try to imagine your typical audience member or customer and kind of put together a whole suite of preferences and demographics and various things to try to understand who this person is. And so based off of all these contest entries and various other feedback and messages you've gotten, can you describe like who your audience member is? An overgeneralized version of like what this person is? Is this like an urban non-hunter who's 20 to 40, or like do you have any kind of assumption of who your average listener is based off this now?
I do. They all look exactly like me, and are my age. Phil got. I mean, if Joe Farinato was on here, he would probably back me up that we did. People sent a lot of videos in for our turkey calling contest of themselves, and half of them were like probably 25 to 35 and had a beard. I don't know if the beards if they grew a beard after they saw my beard, which I doubt they did. That would be stupid. Or if they just all bearded people all kind of came to this show. I don't know. The chicken or the egg, you know how that is, Mark? You don't know. There's no way to know.
Just don't know.
But the podcast contest, funny enough, was the thing that really got me thinking about that. And I didn't go into it expecting to be inspired or feel anything. I just wanted to have fun and help someone out, and just share creativity. Like this show is a lot of just in your show too, Mark. I'm sure just random things you think of that you find interesting and that you want to explore, and they take on lives of their own. And that's what I wanted to do here. I just thought it would be fun for everybody, and then it takes on a life of its own once it gets going. And in this case, as I was sitting there reading all these podcast ideas, I realized that, we had teachers, we had middle school teachers, high school students. I had a couple in from like high school outdoors clubs. We had research professionals, as you heard. We had mothers. We had a nuclear physicist was one of them. We had military. We had first responders. We had firefighters. We had, just from all walks of life, people that listen to this show and that appreciates something about it. I don't know what, or just wanted to win a podcast kid. I don't know what the motivation is, right? But that was the part of it that struck me, and I wasn't reading it to kind of have any feeling about the audience. I just wanted to put as much time into the reading each one of the submissions as people took to put them together and send them to me. So that's really, it was just like an exercise that turned into something that for me it wasn't meant to be. And really, I came out of it appreciating how many different people can come and gather around hunting and the outdoors and caring about it, and it's just silliness at the same time. Complete ridiculous. I don't know if you listened to it, Mark, but we rapped and sung some of the poems from one of our contests, and I listened back to it, I'm like, this is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard in my life, and I don't know what to do with it, but I'm glad we did it. It's just not the norm within the hunting world.
No, I would say that's a perfect way to describe you, Ben. I think it's great.
Well, I hate reflecting on anything. I like to just do things and then move on. But reflecting on just how many people out there are have different perspectives, are from different places. All of the contest winners, the ones we've announced so far were from the New England states. I think we had a New Hampshire, a Massachusetts, and a Connecticut. Which was kind of random and funny, but it just goes to show you, people think of Meat Eater or they like typify your podcast, Mark. They go, oh, it must be all Midwesterners and Eastern folks. We got emails from every place in this country and places internationally. A bunch from Canada, a bunch from England, a bunch from New Zealand, a bunch from Australia, a couple from South America even. So whatever, man. Just be glad to be a part of something, whether it's a podcast or I don't even care what it is, where you can share these conversations with so many people. So that was a long-winded way of saying, like, man, it was really inspiring and cool to read all these submissions. And thank you, everyone, for sending them in. So, Mark, what's your contest gonna be for Wired to Hunt?
Yeah, the contest is to try to draw what you think the average Hunting Collective audience member looks like.
I like it.
That's gonna be the contest.
This is gonna be drawing a bunch of trolls with beards. Like, what do you do?
Yep.
But all right, well, good. You have any final thoughts there, Phil, on our episode 100 stuff and what it turned into? I guess you already kind of gave them.
Yeah, I kind of summed it up.
Thanks
for contributing.
Yeah, thanks. I always tune you out when you're talking, Phil. I try not to listen to what you're saying.
That's okay. I do the exact same thing to myself.
Oh, I thought you were going to say to me. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks for listening. But that's it. So the next contest, as you guys heard already, hand turkeys. Think we could get 1,000 hand turkeys? That's the goal.
We'll plaster them all over the office, not just behind my desk.
1,000 hand turkey drawings. That's what we want. That's what we want. That's what I'm aiming for. If I can get 1,000, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll probably retire. So get your hands ready.
Because after this whole coronavirus thing, hand-drawn hand turkeys will be the only form of currency.
Yes. We'll have to cut all our hands off to avoid shaking them. All right. That's coming up. So just get ready for that. So, Phil, you're released from duty. You can go back to hang out with your kids and probably fake working from home. You're supposed to be working from home. Do you plan to do work?
Yeah. Well, I already mixed one of your shows today, and now
thanks.
I'm recording a podcast with you. I'm recording another podcast with you later today, and then I'm mixing another one of your shows. So all the work I'm doing today is just for you specifically. So I just thought I'd let you know.
Thanks. It's actually for the listener who we just described, all over the world, and that's who it's for, Philip.
Happy to do it.
I'll always defend the listener on THC. I won't let Phil. Phil's always trying to degrade you. I'm always trying to build you up and keep you with us. All right. Well, we're gonna tell the story of the Wide 8, Phil. So go take a breather, and I'll see you briefly.
Cool. Have fun.
Bye. Mark Kenyon.
Ben O'Brien.
When's the last time you were on the back 40?
2 days ago? Saturday or Sunday I was on the back 40.
Oh,
so what's today? Today is Monday?
Monday, yeah.
Yeah, so it was Saturday.
A couple of days ago. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Well, how's it looking over there?
It's looking okay. I was out there frost seeding. So frost seeding is a way of planting something without actually tilling or disking or plowing anything into the ground. You actually broadcast seed just on top of what's there early enough in the year that there's still freezing and thawing cycles. So the ground's going to freeze at some points and it's going to thaw later in the day. And so the ground expands and then contracts, and that sucks in the seed into the soil and allows stuff to grow. So I'm frost seeding switchgrass, which is a type of grass that's going to provide a lot of cover and structure across these old fields that we talked about last time,
Right.
for all sorts of critters. And so I was doing that. It's been a big pain in the butt. 2 different broadcast seeders I bought have already broken on me. So as it was last year, gear and equipment issues continue.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of big plans for the back 40 this year, and I can only imagine that this is just the beginning.
Yeah, man. And this whole coronavirus thing is throwing a loop already into it as we speak.
Yeah, we were supposed to be filming next week, and now obviously we're not doing that, and we're trying to do a lot of things out there. So we'll leave that for other conversation. But I do think that, in general, what we want to do on that property this year, we're going to still do it. We're still going to do all the big projects we wanted to do, whether we get to film them and show them to you on Back 40, the actual show, or not. We're still going to do them. We're still going to make that property the best it possibly can be. And if we can't get camera guys there, we can't get everybody else there to film it, we'll still bring it to you somehow. Mark will take his phone out there and show you what he's doing. So just stick with us. We got big plans for the Back 40 for spring, summer, fall, and into next year. But
Lots and lots to do.
But I imagine that, do you think the Wide 8, the fact you killed the Wide 8 last year, do you feel like that'll be the high point of the property? Or are we going to hit another high note? Are we going to be chasing that all year?
No, we'll have a high note. That won't be the beginning. That was simply a dot of optimism to begin the growth curve, I would say. I think what we had last year was very, very, very much a raw, rough canvas that we were trying to draw a painting on. And this year, barring any more disasters, if we are able to do the things we want to do, the place should be a lot better this year. So I think we'll see a lot more of all sorts of wildlife. I think we've got plans to bring in some guests that'll be a lot of fun to share this place with, and I think we'll see more deer, and I think there'll be some success. So I think this year will be really cool. I think the coolest thing, even if we don't have a successful hunt like we did last year where I killed the white-8, a big mature buck, even if we don't kill a mature buck this year, I think it will be really a high point just to see it transformed, to see the new version of it this fall, and to see how animals and all sorts of new life is kind of flush across this landscape. I think that will be a high point, just to see that, experience that.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Yeah, and then I guess maybe for those of you that don't know, Back 40 is a property that Meat Eater bought and Mark Kenyon manages, and we're making a show about it. And it's 64 acres in Michigan. And as you said, it's kind of like, it wasn't a blank canvas, but it was definitely a run-of-the-mill farm. You couldn't just inherit and start shooting the big bucks walking around. I mean, a lot of work had to be done, has been done, will be done. A lot of times going into thinking about what's the best thing for this property and why we need to do what we're going to do. And so it's an interesting, I've never been a part of something like this. I've leased ground for hunting. I've been a part of those processes, but never something so intimate. And you and I were talking about, just a property in general, how the more you get to know something, you would think the closer you got to it, right? The more you know about a property, you would think the closer you felt to it. That intimate knowledge of every corner of it, every field, every hedgerow, every tree, you kind of know what's going on. But we were talking about recently, the closer you get to a property, the more you realize what you don't know. Mm-hmm. The more you realize how much there isn't there.
Yeah, it's like there's these different levels to getting to know a place. And so you start to get to know a place a whole lot, and you feel like, oh, I know that there's an oak tree over there, and I know that there's a such and such tree there, and then there's this corner there. So you get to know something really well on that level. But if you keep going, then you go to this next level where you then have all these new questions, because now you're starting to ask, well, why does this happen there? Or why is this thing happening there that's influencing this wildlife movement or whatever? And then if you keep on digging in and you're further passionate and excited about learning this place and you have more experiences, then you start to see, oh, when I made this change, it influenced this. And there's this cascade of effects that I think is really interesting if you approach it with curiosity. That's been something that at times this property seemed limiting, because like we're just on 64 acres. There's nothing but, well, we know every square inch almost. But then if you approach it with curiosity and, you just keep on diving down these new rabbit holes, which are really interesting and challenging, all sorts of challenges. But I think embracing that makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's well put. You always do a good job of kind of encapsulating all the things that go into this. And I think that part of what I hope to get out of the Back 40, and we were talking about this, about what might we do after the Back 40, or what else can we figure out in terms of hunting. I think that what Meat Eater has done as a brand, and Steve Rinella as a person, and kind of what all the things that he means to hunting is to be able to say, like, what's happening on the ground, what makes us relatable to everybody, what makes a 64-acre property in Michigan relatable to everybody listening to this. There's got to be something that you can relate to, even if you don't own a property of your own, if you've never hunted on whitetails in Michigan, and you don't ever intend to. There's some appreciation for the land and for the animals that you can learn from your experience, right? From Mark's experience. But then, say you have a property like this, or you do intend to one day have a property like this, you can also learn some very intimate things on the ground that you can either do better or you can try to emulate. And so it's been a great process. I guess that it's more of an internal feeling for me, having worked on the show with you. But I think for those who haven't watched Back 40, even those who have and are looking forward to season 2, that's why I enjoy it, because of that approach. We're able to be broad, but also kind of hit things on the ground floor where they're happening on that property.
Yeah. I mean, it's been eye-opening for me in so many different ways. Have thought that I had a lot of experience with these kinds of things leading up to it, and I thought, oh, this is great. You get to own a property and do whatever you want on it. This will be a piece of cake. This is the dream come true. This will be a slam dunk. And you very quickly realize that there's a lot more to it. Challenges and opportunities. And so it's been a hell of a journey, that's for sure. By the time it's all said and done, we'll have had a lot of fun. We'll have worked our tails off and learned a lot.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that's all you can really ask for. We had Charles Rodney on the show a couple of weeks ago, and that's what he always says. He's like, be safe, have fun, learn, go. Like that's and I take that in from a guy like that.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there, because they're great and they're super friendly, and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth.
You know what I want to talk about before we get any further? Soil. And a guy named Gabe Brown. I think at this point you could probably give us a lot about Gabe Brown. We went to Rome Ranch back in November, and we did a podcast for THC about soil and about regenerative agriculture and about kind of if you were looking at the great mysteries in our society, like or one of the more important things we could explore, soil is never we think about the ocean, we think about our climate, we don't ever really think about the soil. Soil becomes this like connective tissue or connective organism for everything we eat, every place we walk, whatever. So could you give us just a quick rundown of from your perch on the back 40 why soil matters, and there's this guy named Gabe Brown that you've been talking about to me.
Yeah, well, like you said, soil is the foundation that almost everything that we depend on is built on. There is more life in soil beneath the surface of the ground than there is above it. It's smaller life, but the sheer volume of different little critters and things going on down there is incredible. And our health, our ability to grow things, to have food, to do all the things that we need as humans. And then on a more granular level, as hunters or wildlife managers, it all depends on that first part of the building, which is the foundation, which is soil. And soil's been becoming seriously degraded decade over decade over decade. I think the last number I saw is that we have lost 50% of our topsoil across the world over the last century and a half. So since industrial agriculture, since the plow of sorts started being used prevalently, we've lost half of the available high-quality soil to grow stuff. And we're losing more and more and more and more because of a number of different practices within the agricultural world and even within wildlife agriculture, the management, all those different types of things. We're killing the biology of soil every time we plow it up or we leave it bare, or we plant the same thing over and over and over in a monoculture, or we apply a bunch of chemicals. All these things are killing the life within soil that gives life to everything that comes out of it. That's a very overly simplified, generalized explanation of why soil matters, but basically, what Gabe Brown, who is a farmer from North Dakota, has been sharing, and a lot of folks from within the natural resource conservation service, thank you, from the government, and a whole lot of people across the country now are speaking about, are new ways to think about planting crops, new ways of farming that can preserve the quality and life of our soil. And that's going to lead to more nutrient-dense crops. It's going to lead to better yields. It's going to lead to less erosion. It's going to lead to less pollution with chemicals getting into our water sources. All many, many, many different benefits. So this is a topic that has become of interest to me because when we started looking into this idea of the Back 40, we wanted to try to manage this place to be a wildlife paradise, but also as environmentally friendly and as healthy of an ecosystem as we possibly could. And so I knew from the get-go that thinking about soil would have to be part of the equation. And so I started diving into it last spring. And Gabe Brown was one of these people who wrote a book called Dirt to Soil that has been one of the most highly recommended books on this topic. Everyone I talked to would always point back to that book. Go read that book. Go read that book. Listen to his TED Talk. So I did. And what you learn is that there's a handful of, and you can cut me off at any point if I'm going too deep, Ben.
No, keep going, dude.
You might have covered this already in your Rome Ranch podcast, but there's these principles of healthy soil that should be thought about whenever you're going to be moving forward with some kind of work with the ground. So what we're trying to do with the Back 40. And I'll give you this the really high level, and I might forget something here, but you want to reduce tillage as much as possible because whenever you're tilling or plowing ground, you're breaking apart the soil biology. You're losing moisture to the atmosphere. So anytime you can no-till, that's a better option. Anytime you can keep the soil armored, you want to have something growing at all times because in nature, there's supposed to be stuff growing. Nature abhors a vacuum is the phrase I've heard in the past. So you want living roots in the soil at all times. That's different than what you're seeing in traditional agriculture where a crop is planted in May or June and it's harvested in September or October or November, and then it's just dead. It's a desert for 5 months or 6 months or whatever. You also want diversity. In nature, you never see a monoculture. You never see the same plant everywhere. There's always diversity in nature. But across massive swaths of America and the entire world, we're planting monoculture, single species crops that are covering the landscape with just one single thing. That's not natural. That's not healthy for soil. It's not healthy for the environment in a lot of ways. So diverse plantings. Reducing chemical inputs like synthetic fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers, synthetic herbicides. Those things are not helping us. Is that 4?
Yeah, I think it's 4.
I'm forgetting something here now, but basically, high level point of all this is that soil matters. I've been trying to learn a lot about it and trying to implement these practices on the Back 40. We did that last year for the first time, both on the Back 40 and on another farm I'm able to do a little bit of work on. I tried this stuff for the first time and learned a lot. Going to try it again this year.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I've always seen and heard when I was at Rome Ranch, that they said to me that got me going. There's more living organisms in a teaspoon of soil than the rest of the earth, than all of the earth combined. And so it's like it's a biosphere. It's a biological system, what soil is. And we have to treat it like that. And what's funny is when I was at Rome Ranch, they showed me the difference between the chocolate cake looking soil. Visually, it's arresting. Here they say, here, look under this cover crop. Here's a soil that hasn't been tilled up, that hasn't been planted in about 3 or 4 years. Look at what this looks like, and it looks like chocolate cake. And then you go one field over, and you're like, this soil's been tilled yearly for the past who knows how long, and it's like red sand. There's no nutrients in it. There's nothing biological. There's no earthworms crawling in it. It's basically dead soil. And then what they described to me is like, once you get to this point, you still need this land to produce crops. So that farmer can make a living, so that farmer can have a life on the farm. And what you then have to do is use those chemical additives to make the soil fertile. And that's the only way. From there on, you're kind of dependent on those chemicals to make things grow in the soil that you've destroyed. So it's a weird circular pattern of destruction that is alarming. And I think regenerative agriculture, I've seen it a lot more. Maybe I've just been looking for it recently since I've been learning about it as you have. Maybe I've been looking for it more, but I've seen it repeated a lot in these circles. People are talking about it more, and people are thinking about soil and looking to people like Gabe Brown for leadership. Yeah, for leadership. And so give us a rundown, hopefully we can film a lot of this, but like on the back 40, how do you intend to approach it? Gabe hopefully is going to come and help us with this, but he was supposed to be there next week, but now he can't come because of the quarantine. But, what's the intention with Gabe in terms of soil?
Well, the hope is that Gabe's going to come out and take a look at the soil that we have on the farm right now and tell us a little bit what he's seeing there. From everything I can gather, you can tell this has been intensively plowed and farmed soil for decades and decades and decades, so it's seriously degraded. So I think he's going to come and take a look at that, and then we're going to talk to him about those different principles of soil health and ways that we can plant crops on the back 40, but do it in a way that is good for the whole ecosystem, good for the soil. And so, like I said, started these things last year on the couple small food plots we planted. This year, we're expanding the food plots in quite a significant way. Excuse me. So we're going to continue to use a no-till approach. We're going to minimize the use of any herbicides as much as possible. We're going to institute a rotation of crops that allows us to keep something growing at all times. And then it also uses, by keeping something going all the time, you don't then have the weed issues that then require you use herbicides like people traditionally do. So we'll have a rotation. We'll utilize a really diverse blend of plants rather than the typical monoculture plantings. Again, that's going to be great for all sorts of different types of wildlife. It's also going to be good for the soil. It's also going to make things easier for us from an input standpoint. And that's, at a high level, it's going to be doing those things. All those things, they're a little bit more difficult to get started with maybe than the traditional ways I've done it. But I think once you get it going, you start seeing some real benefits. And we're just in that beginning stage. So I think Gabe's going to be able to provide some really helpful guidance just as far as the things I should be looking for, the things I should be focusing on. Hopefully we can avoid some of the mistakes that I'm sure he did experience early on in his years. Maybe he can pass along a few pointers to keep my mistakes as minimal as possible. But there's just a lot to it.
Well, like we said before, I mean, it's just one of those things where people can learn from you because we're going to document every single thing that you go through. And I think what's beautiful about the way you approach it and the way that's been done is just you're not an expert. You're not Gabe Brown, but you're relying on other experts to come in and kind of give you the guidance, and then you got to go do it yourself. And if you screw it up, oh well. That's just how it is.
I'm the guinea pig.
Yeah, you're the great guinea pig.
Yep.
And that's why you can't get sick, Mark. You can't get coronavirus because then the back 40 will fall apart.
Yeah, I don't know what we'll do if that happens.
I don't know. But I think it's good. I mean, I think it's good to understand One, we had a guy named Luke McCulley out last year who kind of gave us, who painted the picture, had done this prior for you and I, but painted the picture of kind of why are small farms important. We talk about public lands all the time. I mean, you wrote a book about it. These are large swaths of millions and millions of acres, but now we're talking about 64 acres. And it may seem like that's not a big deal. A soil on a 64-acre farm may not seem like that big a deal, but when you multiply that out over millions and millions of acres that are similarly managed, if everyone could adopt some principle that, one, allows people to still make money and allows people to still have profitable acreage in terms of farming and feed themselves and feed each other, and feed into our industrial system, that's one, but that allows for soil health and for ecosystem health and for, wildlife health. I think that's the aim. And so if you haven't watched Back 40, you can go back and watch those things, and see it.
Check it out. Meat Eater YouTube channel.
Yeah, Meat Eater YouTube. Go there. And at some point, we'll be able to come back out and start filming season 2.
If not, I'm just going to keep on chugging along out there doing stuff, and one day you'll just show back up with the camera and be like, whoa, it's a new place.
Whoa, what have you been? It's on fire, literally. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Well, good. Anything else about the Back 40? I know we're going to do some prescribed burning. We're hoping to get with a consultant and look at building a pond there. Man, we're going to put wood duck boxes. We still got to get honey from our bees from last year. Mm-hmm. A million things to do.
Yeah, lots going on. Bees and wetlands and ponds and grasses and prescribed burns and new plantings of various food sources and creating new cover and bedding areas with evergreen plantings and trees and orchards and mushrooms. I mean, just a plethora of food and plants and animals and a bounty of nature.
Tell people about, here's a good hot tip. Tell people about growing their own mushrooms.
Oh gosh, I'm the wrong guy to ask about that, Ben, because all I've heard is the little idea that Steve mentioned where supposedly, I can tell you the two sentences.
Tell me the supposedly what you can do so they can look forward to seeing you try this out.
Yeah. Supposedly you can get spores from mushrooms, put them on a chainsaw, and make cuts into old dead stumps with these mushroom spores, and it will impregnate or whatever the right word is.
Inoculate.
Inoculate. Thank you.
You're thinking about vasectomies again.
Yeah, you can see where our heads are at. Yeah, and you can essentially plant your own mushrooms where you want them. I don't know how easy that is to do. I don't know if it's real, but we're going to give it a shot, see what we can do. And we're first going to try to find a bunch of mushrooms, and then we'll see if we can inoculate some stumps with more. Yeah,
to look forward to what else we're going to do there this spring. We're going to turkey hunt, get some morel mushrooms. We're going to plant a bunch of trees with our friend Doug Duran. We're going to plant some orchards with some fruit-bearing trees in there. We're going to start our beehives going so we can harvest honey later in the year. We're going to get everything figured out so we can dig our pond and put some wood duck boxes on that pond. And really just like, as we were saying before, just like throw a grenade of change at this place and do everything we possibly can in a short term to make it as good as it can be, and then see what happens in the fall, see how wildlife uses the things that we create, see what we're able to harvest from the things we're able to create and change. It's a beautiful thing for me. I love this project. I've been in love with it from the beginning. It hasn't been easy. I know you don't need me to tell you that. But nothing that's worth it is easy. So, I hope that those out there that are landowners or just can step onto a wild place that you go, a public piece of public land that you go, think about the soil next time you're there. Think about the time you're hiking and how your boots affect the trail that you're on and how that trail affects the soil and how that trail causes erosion or things like that. I mean, once you start to learn what the earth is and what it means, you start to think about every impact that you have on it in a way that, it's not your typical frou-frou environmentalist way to think about it, man. It's like a very direct relationship. Like your feet matter, the blade of your shovel matters, the wheels of your car matter at that point too. And so it's something I know you've experienced for sure.
Absolutely.
So, all right. That's all. That's soil. Go to at Benny of B301 and vote on our podcasts. It's strange to say there, Mark, but I'm going to see everybody tomorrow.
Daily podcast, dude. Good for you. That's ambitious.
It may all fall apart on me. I don't know.
I'll be cheering you on from the sidelines.
It's already been interesting. Anything you want to say to encourage everybody out there in this time? I'll let you kind of have the floor to end it out.
I think I would just echo the sentiments we had earlier, which is we're going to be okay, but I do think we should also take it serious. Personally, I don't think we should look at this as some crazy conspiracy. I think we're far past that. So follow the guidelines, be smart, take care of your family, and then keep living your life, though, as best as you can within those guidelines. Get outside, enjoy a walk in the woods with your family, appreciate the simple things, the little things that we have that now we're starting to learn maybe aren't so guaranteed in certain situations. So kiss your wife, hug your kids, enjoy life.
Make sure it's your wife. Kiss only your wife.
Kiss your wife. Get a vasectomy.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. That's getting awkward. All right. Well, Marcus, thank you so much, buddy. We'll be checking in with you maybe later in our daily podcast journey. We'll check back in with you. Rendezvous in the back 40 should things all fall apart in terms of society. I feel like we should just create a camp there, a commune where everybody can come and share the wild bounty.
Yes, I'll be waiting for you, and I'll have it all set up.
Beautiful. I'll expect you to have grown a beard by then, which you clearly have not to this point.
I've been trying for years, man. It's not in the cards, I don't think.
All right, buddy. See ya.
See ya.
That's it. That's all. Another episode in the books. Thanks to Marcus Kenyon. Thanks to this little program we got called Squadcast. Not a sponsor, but still making my life a lot easier. Thanks to the hundreds of you that wrote in and tried to win a podcast. So before we go, at BennyOB301, go to my Insta story. There'll be a frame there with a poll to vote for Trey and Liz and the brothers Russell. So go there and find them and vote. Vote. We're going to leave that open for 24 hours, and that will determine the winner. So go and vote over there at BennyOB301 on Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, send me an email. Tell me who you like the best. We'll figure it all out. Don't worry. We're going to get the right person, the equipment, and we'll go on. So tomorrow on the Daily Podcast, we're going to have Remy Warren. We're going to talk about hunting in New Zealand. We're going to talk about where he's at in his life, what he's doing with the quarantine. I bet he's doing something awesome. That'll make us all jealous. So tomorrow, Daily Quarantine Cast, Remy Warren. Phil, how you feeling about this daily podcast life?
So far, so good. I might have a different attitude about it in 4 or 5 days, but we'll see. I'm going to try to keep spirits up.
Yeah,
because I think it's a fun idea.
You're the man of the people. We're doing this for the people. That's
right. I represent people.
We don't eat. We don't sleep until the people get what they want.
That's right.
That's a little daily dose of PTE, Phil the engineer. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
The Hunting Collective with Ben O'Brien is a part of the Meat Eater Podcast Network. It is produced by Corinne Schneider and engineered by Phil Taylor. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, themeateater.com, or anywhere podcasts are downloadable. Wherever you listen, leave a 5-star review and subscribe.
You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins. After 3 years of work, our follow-up to the Meat Eater Fish and Game Cookbook is here. It's the Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, campfire, and camp stove. Here is your book for everything that's best cooked or eaten outside, from grilling to open fire cooking to Dutch ovens to smokers to barbecue to backpacking meals to how to pull off the perfect fish fry, with pit stops along the way for lessons about Ice Age cooking methods and the best 5 ways to construct a cooking fire you can be proud of. And of course, we're focusing on wild game and fish here with over 100 recipes, including stuffed venison burgers 3 ways, wild duck with ahi verde sauce, a jerky made with cola, a gin and tonic made with fire-charred lemons, and grilled frog legs made with a sticky sweet sauce. This ain't your normal cookbook, so be prepared to be surprised. Get your copy now. For more info, visit themeateater.com or buy it wherever books are sold.